Hi, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Brie. Today we're going to do a little reading vlog. Originally I had started filming and I was going to try to fit in more books, so I am redoing this intro, so later you might see me talk about having more books, but no, we're only going to read 3 in this reading vlog. I had a couple that I could choose from because I do have some arcs that I could choose from, and then I have some that I recently picked up and I just was feeling like these ones. So this is what I read. I will be reading in this video Murder Road by Simone St. James. This recently released, and it's like a thriller horror about a couple that goes on a trip and they get on this road where people have been murdered and they witness something and now they're trying to figure out what actually happened. Then I'm gonna read What Feast at Night by T. Fisher. This is a horror novella that is the second in a series, so it's the second to What Moves the Dead. The first one was like a House of Usher, Fall of the House of Usher retelling, and this one is just kind of another story after the events of the first one. And then I have Feybound, which is a anticipated release that people have been talking about that is a fae and elf like fantasy romance, and I've just heard so much hype around it that I wanted to check it out for myself and see. So that's this one. Is by Sarah Al-Arifi, and I think she wrote The Final Strife, which I think is a YA series, and I haven't read that one, so this will be my first time reading this author. Let's just get into the video and I'll let you know my thoughts.
Open air, side by side we sway there in all the colors. Summer, lonesome dove, folded on the lawn chair in all the colors. Summer. Remember when we were getting nowhere fast, when the garden won't stop giving back honeysuckle, fresh cut grass. I could really use some stuff like that.
Okay, so I made it to the 50-page mark of Murder Road, and so I just wanted to give some initial thoughts. So going into it, all I knew was we were going to be dealing with a serial killer on a road. Now I know a little bit more, so we're basically starting off following this couple who's newly married, Eddie and April, and they are trying to go from Ann Arbor, Michigan to their honeymoon on Lake Michigan. I'm from Michigan, so I can give you the little Michigander thing. So Ann Arbor is like, I'm doing this the wrong way. Ann Arbor's like probably around here and Lake Michigan's over here, so they were supposed to be driving there, and there's a lot of like farmland in there, so I think essentially we're somewhere in here. And it's kind of they specify sort of the town, but I don't think it's the real one because it's not one I've heard. That's all pointless to this. They get lost on their way to the resort. It starts the book with them saying we're lost, and they are trying to find their way back, and then they see this person on the side of the road that they then find out is a woman, and she's kind of seems off, like something seems wrong with her, so they ask her if she's okay, and they kind of convince her to get in the car, and she is just acting a little strange. And then when they finally have her in the car, they notice that she's very injured. She's bleeding everywhere under her jacket, and she just says, "I'm sorry, he's coming," and then they are being pursued by a car. So they end up getting away from this car that's chasing them, and they make it to the hospital. And when they get to the hospital, the woman in the back seat ends up dying, and so they don't end up saving her. And so then when they get to the hospital immediately calls the police, and the police immediately believe that they are the killers. And these detectives came in, so clearly there's more going on than just like this one crime, and they're just showing these 2 detectives and the police what they found and trying to like prove their innocence, but no one really believes them at this point. And so I think that they're gonna have to try to solve like what's going on here. It starts off pretty quickly, like as soon as the book starts, you're in the action and like the thick of the plot of what's going to happen. And so I feel like this is going to be really fast paced and things like that. But I will say I do feel like the writing somewhat is different than the books that I've read previously by Simone St. James. It's not like completely different. Like I don't feel like I'm reading from a completely different author, but there's just a little bit less atmosphere that I usually get from her books. A lot of the time what I really like is I feel this like tension and foreboding, and there's always like a paranormal element to things. And while there is still like her classic like paranormal element, I think, sprinkled in so far, we've gotten like a glimpse of it maybe. It just feels much more like a regular thriller. It reads much more like a fast-paced serial killer whodunit like thriller at the moment, and I'm not disliking it. It's just like a little bit different for what I expect when I go into Simone St. James. So I'm hoping that I will like it a bit more as I keep reading. I'm not a big thriller reader. I like mysteries and I like horror, and so thrillers just tend to not really work as well for me. And so this is reading more in like that thriller area where her stuff tends to lean more speculative, like horror thriller, and I really like that. So yeah, we'll see what comes of this. I'm definitely intrigued and want to know more, but it's just, I guess I have to adjust my expectations a little bit. Ow. Just cut my chin. So that's just my thoughts. I'm gonna read, I'll probably try to check in around like the 50 to 75% mark and let you know more thoughts. And I hope to read more today because I just have a relaxing day. So I think I can fly through this because it is reading really quickly as well. And I will let you know more thoughts when I have more. I feel like I've been only reading for a short period of time. This book is flying through. I am at the 170 page mark, so halfway through, and I wanted to update. And like I said, it's just going so fast. Like in the blink of an eye, I'm halfway through this book and I feel like I will finish it tonight. It's just that quick. But that being said, I'm not sure how I'm feeling about it. I think on the one hand, I'm enjoying it in terms of like it's fast, it's like interesting. I want to know who this serial killer is. But at the same time, we're following this couple. See, I don't even remember their names at the moment. April and Eddie. And they're a newly married couple. They like are literally been married for 5 days, but you find out that they haven't been married, like haven't even known each other for very long. And so you're kind of like just following them and their dynamic while they decide to solve these murders. There's just something keeping me at a distance from them. And like I said before, because it's like in this atmosphere that I really love from her books, I just don't feel fully sucked into the book. I feel like I'm reading a thriller book and that's about it. Like I don't have any feelings towards it at the moment other than I'm intrigued and it's an easy read. So that's disappointing because I think Simone St. James's books have ended up on my top books of the year or honorable mentions for the last 2 years, and this is not the same level as those. It doesn't feel the same. I don't know. The like content of a serial killer like is interesting, but I wouldn't say that's like my most favorite thing to read. Like most of her books like have a serial killer kind of element to it, like multiple murders, but I think for this, the way we're exploring it just isn't my favorite. I think too because the main characters don't have any real connection to the mystery they're trying to solve. They just kind of stumble upon it. It's not the same as with like the Sundown Motel, the Book of Cold Cases, and the Broken Girls. They all had the main character who was somehow connected to the story, who was emotionally invested in finding out what happened. And this we aren't. So we're like kind of getting backstory into their lives while trying to solve a murder. But like the backstory like maybe is gonna tie in, but kind of feels like it might be like irrelevant. It's just to like connect us more with the characters and make us sympathize with them. But it doesn't like connect to the plot in the way the others do. It's like we're getting two different focuses. So we're focusing on them as a couple and their like backstories, and then we're focusing on the plot, but like they don't actually really interconnect all that much. So I'm just gonna check into with you probably tomorrow when I've finished and let you know final thoughts. But overall, right now I'm in like the 3-star range. It's not bad. It's not good either. It's not blowing me away, I guess is what I should say. So I think if you maybe like more traditional thrillers and like serial killer stuff, maybe this would appeal to you, but right now I feel fine. Hello. We are in the car because Noah's in getting cat food, and I wanted to update about Murder Road because I finished it last night and we're running errands, so I thought I'll just let people know while I'm in the car. This was such a disappointment. I looked at reviews and there's been really good reviews so far, so I feel like this is maybe just me, but I want to give this like a 2.5 or maybe a 3. I don't know. I think maybe a 2.5 because I'm just so disappointed. It just doesn't feel like it's the same author. Like, here's the thing. I think she was trying something new. I think that she was trying to do a one timeline story where we're just getting one perspective and it's kind of like this mystery thriller story. And I think, like, I don't fault her for trying something new, but for me it just didn't work. I missed the eerie spookiness that usually comes with her stories. There was still a paranormal element in here, but it just didn't have the same feeling. Like, before, you could just start reading and you'd feel the like tension and the spooky eeriness off the page, like just the way she described things and the setting and stuff. But with this, it was just much more like, I went here and did this, and like straightforward, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So yeah, I just didn't like it as much. And I think the main couple I didn't like hate by any means. There wasn't anything that I could say like I really disliked about them. I just found myself like not really connecting or caring that much. In the end, the reveals were very straightforward. I saw a lot of things coming, and so I'm just disappointed because I feel like I could have predicted a lot of what happened in here, and then there wasn't a lot of the things that I've come to love from Simone St. James. And I think that she does dual timeline really well. So if you're someone who doesn't read that a lot, like, I think I always say that she's someone who does it super well, in my opinion. She just wasn't doing any of that in here. And I think that it just wasn't as good. I don't know. So I think I'm going to give it a 2.5, which is sad because I was so anticipating this. I love Simone St. James. She's one of the only, like, real mystery thrillery authors that I still read, because I like her stuff so much and I like the paranormal aspect. So yeah, that's that. I don't have much to say. I think if you like a serial killer like book, you might like this, but it just wasn't my thing.
Whoa.
That was good. Hello.
Hi.
So I think we're gonna go home. We're gonna pick up a prescription, and then I'll show you a book haul, a little book haul I have, and then I think I'm gonna start Feybound. I think that's the plan. Hopefully this hasn't been too loud. I'm now realizing all the noise from the road. We'll find out. Okay, I'll see you later. So we just got home and I was pulling out the books for the book haul, and I realized that it's kind of smaller because these three are already in the video, so they're not really new to show you because I'm going to be reading them in this video. And I only had 2 other books from that haul. Not that that is a small haul, but so I collected a couple other books on top of those 2 that I bought recently because I really need to do a book haul, and I haven't done one. In February is a bit of a crazy buying month for me for books, so I definitely need to do one. So I thought I'd give you a little sneak peek, and then a book haul will be coming soon. So basically, last couple days I was in Florida for a family's funeral, and while I was there I got to see my grandparents, and they took us around a little bit. And my grandma loves to go to the bookstore. She loves to read, and that's one of the people I get my love of reading from. So they have a 2-tier Barnes & Noble in Florida, and it's great. So every time I go there I try to get some because they just have a selection that we don't have here. And I brought it up to her and she was really excited to go, so we ended up going. So I got a couple books because I just knew I wanted to get them. And their horror section was actually pretty big for Barnes & Noble. It was like 2 bookshelves. I feel like all the ones around here are like a bookshelf maybe. So I found this and I've been wanting to read it for a while. This is The Silent Companions by Laura Purcell. And I've just seen this a couple places, and it's a gothic horror. And I think it has to do with like dolls and a woman who is widowed and then goes to this home to like remarry, and weird things start happening. And it gives me like Rebecca vibes or Jane Eyre, or I think those are the right ones I'm trying to think of, or like Turn of the Screw, those kind of things. And I really, really like gothic horror, so I've been really intrigued by this. And it's really short, so I feel like I just have been wanting to give it a go. So I picked it up finally because I saw it there, and I was like, yep, that is one I've been meaning to get to. It takes place in 1860s, so it's also a bit historical gothic horror, so I'm gonna enjoy that. And then I also picked up Shadow Speaker by Nnedi Okorafor. I recently, if you saw my recent wrap-up, read Binti and really enjoyed it for a sci-fi novella. And I definitely want to continue that series, but I saw this one there, and this one is like a sci-fi mystery almost, where her father, who wasn't a good man, was murdered, and then years later she's deciding to get revenge for her father. It says, is it for revenge or something else? So she's trying to figure out and go after the killer of her father. So I just think it sounds really good. It's a duology, so it's a quick like series to read, and it just really intrigued me, and I really liked Nnedi Okorafor's writing and the way that the sci-fi world was built. So I wanted to try this because I've been trying to expand my sci-fi reading taste and like read more things in it. So I thought I'd give this a go, and I'm really excited for it because I really liked Binti. So that's why I got that one. And then these are some half price books finds that I just really was excited when I found them. So I found Cursed Bunny by Bora Chung there, and this is like a horror like collection of stories, and it says it's got like a bunch of different things, but it's Korean. I think it's translated from Korean as well. Oh, translated by Anton Her. So yeah, it is translated. I've just heard really good reviews on this, and I've really wanted to read it, and my library doesn't have a copy. So when I saw it there for like $6, I was like, yeah, that's coming home, and I'm going to be reading it very soon. And it's a great copy. It looks barely read to me, like it looks almost brand new. So that's why I love half price books. You can find used books, and they're always in like really good condition. The next one is Cold Magic by Kate Elliott, which is a historical fantasy. I'm gonna say I found this on someone's TikTok, which, you know, TikTok recommendations, who knows really, but it's a historical fantasy where the Industrial Revolution has begun, and there's just like something about magic that is happening with it. And really, it was a TikTok of like, if you like these historical fantasies, try these. And this was on there, and it's a series. I think it's called the Spirit Walker Trilogy. And it really intrigued me by the way this one person described it. So when I saw it there, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get it because I really want to try it. So that's why I have this one. And I'm really excited to get to it because I've been really liking my historical fantasy. And then the last one is a new release in 2023 that I hadn't known about, but is like so something I would enjoy. And it's called The Undetectables by Courtney Smythe. And it says, be gay, solve crimes, take naps. And it says, it's a magical serial killer is stalking the occult town of Racton. Hypnotic whistling causes victims to chew their own tongues off, leading to a killer being dubbed the Whistler. Original, right? And then it says that there's a forensic expert struggling with pain and fatigue from her recent diagnosed fibromyalgia, which I struggle with pain and fatigue, though I'm not diagnosed with fibromyalgia, but I just have something similar. So I was like, sign me up. I've never read something with that kind of pain representation. And then a Not Forgetting Ghostly Theodore, deceased, dramatic, and also the agency's first unsolved murder case. I'm really excited. It looks like it's going to be a fun series. It seems like it's going to be like funny, and I really like that kind of stuff in my mysteries where there's a group of people solving cases, and yeah. So I thought this sounded really good. And I haven't seen anyone talk about it, so I'm really excited to see what I think. So that's the little book haul. I will be picking up Feybound, and I will let you know what I think. This is one that I'm interested to see how I think about it because I think it sounds like something I could really like, but it's got a lot of hype around it. And I haven't read Sarah Alarifi before, but I know that she has The Final Strife and The Battle Drum, which is a trilogy that I've heard really good reviews on. So I have high hopes for this, and I think it sounds like something I will really like, but with books that are just like a little more hyped, you never know. So I'm excited to give it a go. I will let you know what I think of it in a little bit.
I still recall the first time I saw you. I was so nervous to talk. Happened so fast. Went from so lonely to falling asleep in your arms. I used to be afraid to fall in love. My past relationship was a disaster, but now I don't care.
I can't find my phone. Oh, it's right here. Found it! So I made it to page 56 in Feybound, and I wanted to give a little bit of an update. So we start off the book where we're following Yiren, who is just made Colonel. Is that how you say it? Colonel?
Colonel?
Is it Colonel, like an R, not an L?
Correct.
Okay. So she just made Colonel, and it's like her first day in that position. And when she's like about to go, her sister comes and tells her that she read her prophecy because she does like divination. And she said that your fate lies to the east. And so she goes out and she's told specific instructions in the west to do stuff, and there isn't really anything to do. And this like society is very like war focused. Like her whole life has been war. It's been hundreds of years war, just constant. So all she really knows is war, and so she's really like itching for a fight. And her friend and captain, he also is there, and he's kind of like wanting a fight too. So they kind of decide to go and defy orders and go to the east and look there. And they run into a pack of like other elves because basically Fae and humans are extinct and now it's just elves left, and they are attacked by another group of elves, but they have like magic that just shouldn't be there. Like they've never encountered it before. And so they end up retreating, but she ends up losing like 300 soldiers, and she has to go meet the chieftain, and the chieftain basically exiles her. And so that's where we are. Start off the book with her being exiled and sent like far away. And then we follow her sister's perspective, Lettel. And Lettel is, like I said, a divinationer. They say a word and I can't remember what it is. But she is like very attached to her sister and wants to help her. So she goes and tries to find Yiren and is going on a quest. And then the guy who's the chieftain, Rayan, I think is how you pronounce it, he vows to take care of her. So he follows Lettel into the woods to help her try to find her sister. That's basically where we're at. And I know that this book brings Fae into it. And so they keep saying how Fae are extinct and humans are extinct and haven't been seen in years, and Fae are just like a legend at this point. So I have a feeling they're going to find where the Fae actually are. There's also this creature called the Obeah, which is like, I'm thinking of it like a wolf, but I don't really know. Like it's kind of a bigger creature, and they hunt it for its magic, and so it's really rare, and they're kind of like hunting it to extinction essentially. And that's like where they get all their magic. That's how they read their prophecies and all this stuff, and they use it in a lot of different things. So like they have these drums that they use in war for magic, and it's like the skin of the Obeah. So that's also like a part of the story, and we're just getting their backstories, and I don't really know where the plot's going to go from here, but I'm interested. I think it's probably going to have to do with the war that they keep fighting and maybe changing sides and viewpoints. But yeah, I'm intrigued, and I like getting to know the sisters. I like that there's like a sister dynamic as well, because I think that's always fun in books. And we have like an age gap, and one sister had to like take care of the family, and then the younger sister is kind of trying to find her way in life. And so it's just good so far. And there's been some like prophecies that we don't know how it's going to unfold. And I feel like Lettel and Rayan are maybe going to have a romance. So yeah, I'm interested. I'm going to keep reading. I feel like the writing is really good. It sucks you in and is well crafted, and like the world building, I think we're slowly getting it more and more. And I think that it's one that I can like easily understand. So it's not taken like too much to get into the story, which is great. And yeah, I'm really, really liking it so far. So I'll let you know more when I have like more progress and more thoughts in terms of plot and stuff like that. But so far, so good. It's the next day, and I have an update. So last night I made it to the, what page? 166 pages of Feybound, and I have some more thoughts on it. So when I was talking about it before, I mentioned that we have these elves that are warring. And one of the things that I feel like I thought would be a little more fleshed out, but still is confusing to me, is that they're at war with each other, like the different factions of elves, if you will. Like there's like 4 different kinds, and they call it like the Forever War, and they're always at war with each other. And this is such a big part of the story, and a big part of Yiren, especially her motivation for everything, is to like figure out stuff for her side of the war and so they can win it. But the reason that they're fighting is like never fully explained. So like I don't really understand why this war is so important and why it's such a big deal, because like it seems like neither side really has like a reason for warring. It seems like everyone's just like fighting because it's been what they do forever. And so I kind of wish that was fleshed out a little more so I would understand like why Euron is so attached to the like war and the war effort. And I will say the chieftain, which I didn't mention in the beginning, you know from the very beginning that Euron and her chieftain Salawa, they are having like an affair. And so she wants to like go back to her so that she can bring her this stuff and like get back together with her because she's like very much in love with the chieftain. And it feels like the chieftain like is, but like kind of isn't. I don't know. It seems a little weird. Like that's not like really the end relationship we're supposed to root for. And so like I understand her motivations for like wanting to get her back, but I don't understand her motivations for the war itself and why she even wanted to like really sign up to begin with. Okay, so it does say in the synopsis. So like we've gotten to the part where the Fae have been introduced, and I find it interesting, and I'm like interested to see how that side works more. But I will say it's like I'm feeling like mid-range about it at this point. Like if I were to rate it right now, I'd probably give it around a 3-star because it is intriguing and there's parts of it I like, but then there's parts where I just feel a little like disconnected and bored with it. Why the world is the way it is. I wish it was like a little more explained. The like romances that are happening, I don't dislike them and I can see where one I think is going, but I just don't fully feel like really any connection to it. So I'm enjoying it, but it's not blowing me away. So I'm hoping that the rest of the book picks up and that I really enjoy it, but right now I'm just feeling kind of like middle of the road with it, which is not fun because that means that this is the second book of the vlog that isn't going quite as good. And I feel like last month I had a lot of like 3 to 3.5 star range, and I was just hoping for the anticipated releases to like really blow me away because they are my anticipated releases, so I was like having more hopes for them. But right now I'm feeling mid, and I hope the rest of the vlog gets better. I'll just let you know when I finished and what my final thoughts are. But so far I'm disappointed. Well, it's been a little bit and I finished Feybound, and I think I'm gonna go with like a 3-star. Unfortunately, I just have not been winning with new releases in this video. I think that there was a lot of things like that were fine. It's just in the end, there wasn't enough development of plot or romance. I think that if she had stuck to focusing on one and making that really good, I would have liked it more, because it felt like with the romances, to me, we didn't get enough time with the characters to see why they're really falling in love with each other. We would get like training scenes, and I think you're supposed to take away from that they're building a bond, but I felt like instead we were kind of just told it and we were given little glimpses, but not enough to really make me root for the romances, both romances that are happening in here with both sisters. I wasn't invested in. And then the plot, I think, wasn't developed enough either, because we just spent a lot of the book slowly building up to this plot, and in the end the reveals and stuff and like where it goes just wasn't intriguing to me, and I think the way we got there just was a little boring. So overall, I don't think this book does anything that I really disliked. It was just kind of boring, and I don't really have any feelings of it. I wanted to feel something for the book, and I just feel like I didn't at all. So I'm gonna give it a 3-star. It's not bad, and I know that people out there are gonna like it more than me, and if you're especially like a romantasy reader, or if they like stories is your thing, I just think for me this just didn't work, and I'm starting to figure out more the fantasy romance, like what I really want in it. And I was kind of talking to my husband about it, and I was thinking the ones that seem to really work for me is a really slow burn romance where you see how they end up loving each other through their actions and through how they work together through things. I think in this, the like love interest, we just are given more scenes where we're just told like how things are going, and we're not feeling it and we're not seeing it through actions as much. And so I think that's what like held me back from really loving the romances. So I'm glad I tried it because it is a new release that I've heard really good things about, and I was really intrigued, but in the end just wasn't for me, and I don't think I will continue on with the series. So that's unfortunate. I think what I'm going to start is What Feast at Night by T.K. Fisher. It's a shorter one, and I'm hoping it's just the right thing that I need to really make this reading vlog come to life a little bit, because I'm sad that 2 books have not been hits for me, and I'm just needing a good book, you know? This is a sequel to What Moves the Dead, and I really don't know what's going to happen in here. I haven't read anything about it, but I think we're following our main character, Alex Easton, again, and we'll see what they get up to. I'm going to start this. I will see you probably out in the living room as I give you thoughts. I'm just going to check in once I've read it because it's super short, and hopefully this one's a win. What are you doing back there, silly? Yeah, got a little cow bean over here. So, finished What Peace at Night, and sorry about the lighting. It is not the best, but I can't really do anything about it. But yeah, I finished What Peace at Night. I really liked it. I think I'm gonna give it 4 stars. I just really enjoyed the way that it kind of has a very similar vibe to the first one in terms of something eerie's going on at a new location and they're trying to figure it out. There's less of the animal horror that was in the first, but there is some still. And it was just cool to see like where T. Fisher was going to take this, since the first one was a retelling, and I think that the way that she took it was really good, and the writing itself. I think if you're not a big fan of T. Fisher, her other works, I feel like the What Moves the Dead in this one read kind of differently and darker than her other ones. And I've only read, in terms of horror, I've only read A House with Good Bones and The Hollow Places, and so I don't know in terms of horror if this is like really more her speed. I've read a lot of her fantasy, and her fantasy has a much lighter, funnier tone. There is still humor in this, but it's not quite as lighthearted because it is a horror. But I really, really liked it, and I don't want to say too much about the plot, but basically we're following Easton as they go to like their hometown, and something weird starts happening when they're at their hometown, and there's characters from the first one that are in this, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. I really apologize for this lighting, and I think if she continues in a series, I would continue to read them. I think that they're a really good length for what they are, and I just had a good time, and it was finally nice to have a win. I wouldn't say this is one that I'm gonna think about forever and ever as like a favorite horror, but I think for what it is, I had a really good time, and so yeah, I would recommend it, especially if you liked the first one. I'd say give the second one a shot. I think it's good. And I also don't think you need to read the first one to read this. Like, yes, things in the first one are given away, but it doesn't feel like something that if you just picked it up and read it, you would feel completely lost in either. It's just you wouldn't get as many backstories of the characters. You just get more of the plot. That's What Feast at Night, and happy I got it, and happy I finally had a win in this vlog. I will see you when I either pick a next book or am wrapping it up. Alright, so that's the end of the video. Thank you for watching. I had a good time even though only one was a win. I've been really struggling on my 5 stars this year, which is good. I mean, not every year can be a banger with the reads, but I was hoping for more, especially from Murder Road, but it's okay. It is what it is, and I've seen a lot of people giving it good reviews, so I think I'm just in the minority there. But yeah, that's this little read vlog. I didn't realize too I chose like all red. It was quite the theme. Anyway, I will see you in another video soon.